Hello everyone, how are you? Welcome to today's lesson, and today's lesson is on curve sketching. We want to learn how we can sketch a curve given the function. So for example, I have given you a function y is equal to x squared minus 6x. That's a function for the curve, and I want to sketch the curve. So the first thing that I'm going to do is to get on this function, I will get where the curve, so where the curve cuts x-axis. What I know is where the curve cuts the x-axis, the value of y must be 0. Because any point on x-axis, the value of y is 0. So if I substitute it on my function, I'll say my function is y is equal to x squared minus 6x. So I say 0 is equal to x squared minus 6x. So I can solve this for the values of x. So I'll say here x, I factorize, it's going to be into x minus 6 is equal to 0. So here the first value of x you can see is equal to 0. And also x minus 6 is equal to 0, so x is going to be 6. So where the curve is cutting the x-axis, the value of x must be 0, and the value of x also must be 6. These are the 2 points that I need in my curve sketching. The next step is where the curve cuts y-axis. Where the curve cuts y-axis. So where the curve cuts y-axis, at any point, the value of x must be 0. That is where the curve cuts y-axis. The value of x must be 0. So if I have my function y is equal to x squared minus 6x, I will substitute 0 here so that I have y is also equal to 0. So here I have where the curve cuts y-axis, y is equal to 0. I have got it by substituting, because I've substituted x to be 0 here, and the value of y must be 0. So this is another point that I will need to sketch a curve. So the next thing that I need is number 3. It is what we call the stationary points. You remember the stationary points are the points where the gradient, or the stationary point is where the gradient is 0. The gradient of the curve is 0. So if you have a curve y is equal to x squared minus 6x, I want to find a stationary point, a point where this curve will have the gradient 0. So I'll have the gradient function dy dx. I differentiate this, it's going to be 2x minus 6. I equate this one to be 0 because it is a stationary point. So I'll have 2x minus 6 is equal to 0, 2x is equal to 6, and x is equal to 3. So this is one point of this is one coordinate of the stationary point. I need to get the other one. The other one is of y, which I will say is equal to x squared minus 6x, which is the same as 3 squared minus 6 times 3, because I substitute the value of x here, and this is going to be 9 minus 18, and this is going to be negative 9. So the stationary point is going to be coordinate 3 and negative 9. And then lastly, before I sketch now, it is the nature. Number 4, it is the nature of the stationary point that I've got. The stationary point, I need to get the nature of the stationary point, whether it is a maximum or a minimum or a point of inflection. So remember, our dy dx is equal to 2x minus 6. So if I need to know the nature, I will differentiate this one. I will get the second derivative, which is going to be d squared y over dx squared. It is going to be equal to 2, because when I differentiate. Now this is a positive, and once it's a positive, we remember we said once the second derivative is a positive, then the nature, this one should be a minimum. In the event that it was a negative, then we say it is a maximum. If it is 0, we say it is a point of inflection. But this one is a positive too, you can see. So we say it is a minimum. So I will go now straight to sketch the curve. So I'm going to sketch the curve here. So I will draw my x. This is my y. This is my x. I will be very careful so that I can accommodate all the values. So I'll start where the curve cuts x-axis. It is 0 and 6. So I should say this is 0, 1, this is 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I should mark that point where the curve is cutting x-axis. That is 0 and 6. So I can have -1, -2, -3, and so forth. Then I go where the curve cuts y-axis. You can see y must be 0. So this is 0 for y. This is 0. This is maybe 1. This is 2. This is 3. This is 4. Okay, let me use a different scale here. Maybe 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. And this is going to be -2, -4, -6, -8, -10. So it is cutting y-axis where y is 0. So this is still the point where it is cutting the y-axis. So the next is, and I need to know the stationary point. You can see the coordinate for the stationary point is 3, -9. So 3, -9. So it should be around here. This is the stationary point. And then I want to know the nature of the stationary point. The nature, it's a minimum. So I know that now my curve will be forming a minimum at this stationary point, like this. Now I'm free now to sketch my curve. I'll join this point like this. I also join this one to this one, and I can say this is y is equal to x squared minus 6x. So I have sketched a curve y is equal to x squared minus 6x. So that is the simple steps. So I have 4 steps. First of all, get where the curve cuts x-axis. Secondly, get where the curve cuts y-axis. Get the stationary point. Get the nature of the stationary point, and then plot. I want you to sketch a curve. This is an assignment for you. So I want you to sketch a curve. Y is equal to, I can say, x squared plus 6x plus 9. That is the first question. The second question that I want you to do is y is equal to x power 4 minus 16x cubed, 16x squared. This is another curve that I want you to sketch. And that one is brings us to the end of our lesson. I want to wish you a good day.